So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Facebook session of the day. Yeah, I'm Richard Song. I'm working with my colleagues, lovely colleagues in Singapore. We are handling the platform partnerships business in Singapore, overviewing APAC region. So before I start my presentation, I would like to share a graph from third party. It was from ComScore 2013 report. As you can see, for the 6 countries, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines, Singapore itself, is a home of 62 million online populations, contributing more than 40 internet users of our APAC region. So everybody was familiar with the CJK, China, Japan, Korea is the majority of the developers where they are. But we have the awareness is a Southeast Asian market, it exists. So what we can do, what Facebook can deliver to you, 375 million of our monthly active user we are delivering to our app designers, game developers. Our partner developers made over $1 million last year. Over 3 billion payments processed on Facebook last year. What else? We've heard from you that you want to use Facebook platform for 3 key major things: build, grow, monetize. For your apps, to helping you is our priority, it's our core business priority. The best way we can help you to improve people's lives and connect the world by providing the stable platform is our goal. And to build, grow, and monetize your apps, again, is our priority. So how can we help you to build will be the main topic today I'm going to cover with my colleague, Naku, today. And tomorrow, we're going to have another session to talk about the growth by our colleague Stephen Chen tomorrow, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow. So, Facebook providing Unity SDK to help mobile-based developers converting their game into Canvas, which means the Facebook web version of the game, as well as we're providing parse solution, we're providing ad link solution to indie developers and mature enough publishers as well. So the reason why we're gonna cover in deep diving about parse is we see that a lot of indie developers in this region, in Southeast Asia, they need some help from Facebook. What we can do for them, please welcome my colleague, Naku Patel, gonna be do the more in detail about parse. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. I think Great. So thanks, guys. As Richard mentioned, Facebook is really committed in the future to helping developers build, grow, and monetize their games and apps. And parse is really a large part of that build pillar. So parse is a startup that Facebook acquired about 1 year ago, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. But parse was founded because our founders actually, they got frustrated when they tried to build their own native mobile apps. They found that it was a very fragmented ecosystem, Android, iOS, Windows, and really difficult to do things, cross-platform. So they pivoted from trying to build their own native mobile apps to actually helping developers build apps with the parse platform itself. So if you think about building a native mobile app, it's really, really tedious. And watching this slide is pretty tedious as well, but I'm going to make sure that you all actually have to sit through it and watch. It looks like this screen is a little bit unclear, but there's a lot of things that you need to do, like thinking about servers and how to scale servers, serialization, caching, synchronizing data across different platforms when you're building cross-platform apps. There's all of these things that you have to do that are completely invisible to the users that are playing your games and downloading your apps. And finally, after all of this, on the top of that, you have your game. That thin blue slice at the top, that's what your players and your users care about. They care about an exciting game, something that's engaging and fun that they want to open up on their phone when they're on their way to work or getting ready to go to sleep. Your users most likely, I know for myself, when I play a game or when I download an app, I'm largely unaware, prior to joining Parse, I was largely unaware of this whole set of white slides that exist kind of below the surface. So The goal with Parse is you focus on building an awesome game that delights your users. You focus on doing what you know how to do best, which is building an exciting game with great game mechanics, a great UI, a great UX, and let Parse take care of all the back-end stuff. All of that stuff that developers tend to reinvent the wheel over and over again to produce the same exact functionality that ultimately isn't going to help you get more users. The way that your app sends push notifications or synchronizes data or the servers that you use, that doesn't help you get more downloads. That doesn't help you differentiate your app or your game in the app stores. So focus on building a great game and let Parse take care of the rest. So what actually is Parse? Well, we've got 3 different pillars. The first pillar is Parse Core. That's a lot of the white layers and sort of slides that you saw on the previous slide in my presentation. So that's data, getting your app's data onto users' devices, synchronizing it so that if they're playing a cross-platform game, their level and scores are preserved when they go from a Facebook Canvas version of the game to iOS and maybe to an Android tablet later on. It's your user management, so allowing your users to log in either with Facebook or Twitter or a unique username and password that's specific to your app or game. It's basically all of your operations. So think about, again, Parse Core is data, operations, and user management. The second pillar of Parse is Parse push notifications. So most of the games that I play, most of the apps that I use, regularly send me push notifications. With games, it's often to alert me to a sale for some in-app goods, or to let me know that my farm is ready to be tended to, or just to remind me that I haven't opened up the game in a while. So push notifications, from a user perspective, at least something that I take for granted. I take it for granted that I'm going to get push notifications in most of the apps that I use and most of the games that I play. But as it turns out, push notifications are particularly onerous for developers to actually build. You've got to download the Google Cloud Messaging SDK for Android push. It doesn't support Kindle devices. There's a whole host of other devices that it doesn't support. For iOS, you've got to download the Apple Push Notification Services SDK. Windows has its own system. And again, you can't send push to all flavors of Android devices. With Parse, it's really dead simple. It's one SDK, and you can send push cross-platform. And we support we support non-GCM devices as well. For example, Kindle devices and many of the other app stores that exist in China and other markets throughout Asia Pacific. It's really, really dead simple to send highly targeted push notifications that are super, super fast and probably pretty difficult to build on your own. Parse Analytics, pretty straightforward. We actually allow you to track any custom app event that you would like to track, and you get a lot of data in your dashboard that you can see later on. That was sort of step 1 for our analytics product. The next step is actually automating a lot of the analytics that we show you, and I'll show you some of those analytics in a little bit. This has largely been what informs what we build is feedback from developers. So if you have feedback on what we show you later on, or if you have feature requests, please don't hesitate to let us know. It's really, really helpful for us. So I mentioned SDKs. So Parse, we're big believers in native, and we're big believers in cross-platform. So we've got native SDKs for all the major platforms. Unity, as you can see in the lower right, for all you game developers out there. iOS, Android, we've got Windows Phone, we've got .NET, Xamarin, OS X, and even JavaScript for when you're building web apps. So this slide is something that I'm particularly proud of myself. It may be a little bit hard to see the numbers here, but Parse was founded 3 years ago in 2011. If you notice the logo on the screen, it's the same as my shirt here. In 2013, in May, almost a year ago to the day, Parse joined Facebook. And at that time, we had 60,000 apps that were built on Parse. A lot of those were Bay Area, San Francisco startups, but we were starting to get more international adoption as well. Fast forward 1 year, and we've now got over 260,000 apps built on Parse. This is something that we're really, really, really proud of, and we hope you guys are kind of impressed with that statistic. It's no longer just San Francisco startups. We've added 140,000 developers in the last year alone, and you can see that they're represented from all over the globe. And I'll talk about some of the games in particular that have been built on Parse. So Glu Mobile. They had a title called Deer Hunter 2014. It was their most successful title of all times in terms of overall revenue and downloads. It started on iOS and Android, and Glu Mobile partners closely with the Facebook team, and they saw value in porting the Deer Hunter game to Facebook Canvas. That is actually, the ability to play on Facebook.com. And so they evaluated their options. They evaluated other third parties. They looked at Google Cloud Messaging, Google's Cloud Platform, and other options that they could have used. They ultimately decided to go with Parse, and they used Parse to actually port this game from iOS and Android to Facebook Canvas. And it's had over 5 million installs to date, and it's been a very successful partnership. In fact, we have a case study with the VP of Engineering, Saurabh from Glu, where he says if any developer is thinking about porting an existing game from native iOS or Android or Windows Phone to Facebook, there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't use Parse. So we're very proud of that quote, and we're proud of the partnership with Glu. So Glu is based in the US. Let's travel east a little bit. So Township. The company is called Playrix, and the game is called Township. They had 4 million downloads in 3 months. They use the entire Parse stack. This is a small developer based out of Russia. They use Parse Core for actually saving level states for users when they're playing on different platforms, and player states, game states. They use Parse Push to send push notifications to keep their users engaged. And they use analytics to see how their users are actually playing the game and other metrics that are important to their business. It's worth mentioning that this is also a top-grossing game on iOS and Android. Pacific Interactive, House of Fun. So a very popular slots game, also top grossing on iOS and Android. They've also got a Canvas version of the game as well. Pacific Interactive was recently acquired by Playtika, which was then acquired by Caesars Interactive. They've got about 4 million downloads across all platforms, great partners with Parse and Facebook, and again, use Parse to support push notifications across devices. Let's bring it a little closer, Asia Pacific. So out of Beijing, there's a developer called Elix. They've got a game called Age of Warring Empire. Top 30 grossing worldwide on Android for the last 6 or so months. They use Parse to send hundreds of millions of push notifications every month in this game and other titles that they've got as well. And even more locally, Nonstop Games here in Singapore. They've got a title called Heroes of Honor. I don't know if Juha's in the room here today, but hopefully he is. Very proud to have him as a customer as well, and a great game if you haven't played it already. Let's talk about non-games as well. So Parse is clearly a great platform for building games. It's also a great platform for building other types of apps, native apps. So we've got customers from all over the globe. Hopefully you can see some of them. This slide I know is admittedly a little blurry. But again, a bunch of game developers like Nexon out of Korea. Samsung Electronics is building a game on Parse. Warner Brothers Games, Nonstop Games, again here from Singapore. Cyber Agent and Mixi from Japan. And we've got tons of other apps that are completely unrelated to games as well. So entertainment apps like Vivo and Flixster. Ticketing apps like StubHub. Yeah, it's really the whole gamut of apps that we support with Parse. We're very proud of this. Some other Asia Pacific companies that you might recognize here, Groupon Taiwan, and up there in the almost upper right-hand corner, Bloomberg Business Week China. Excuse me. So new pricing. Some of you that are familiar with Parse, this may not be new for you entirely, but we announced at F8 at the Global Developer Conference a few weeks ago, we announced our new pricing. So no matter who you are, I think you're going to appreciate these changes. We've really tried to optimize our new pricing so that it's beneficial for developers, large and small. We're really, really excited to announce this. So from now on, for Parse Core, you get an unlimited number of API calls with a default limit of 30 requests per second. When you go to parse.com today to create an account, it's completely free. And we don't limit you to any number of apps or games. You can create as many apps or games as you'd like. And in terms of API calls, we give you a default limit of 30 requests per second per app. But within your account, there's a nice little sliding bar that you can use to just increase or decrease that limit as needed for each game or app that you develop. and we prorate hourly. So if you expect a feature from Apple or from Google, you can just dial it up for an hour or two, and then dial it back down as your traffic subsides. For parse push notifications, very excited to announce this. We now offer you unlimited push notifications to up to 1 million recipients per month, completely free. Above that, it's a very generous overage rate of 5 cents per thousand. So just to give you some context, if you've got a game that has 11 million MAUs, you're only going to pay $500 a month for parse push notifications. And again, this is all per app. So if you've got 100 games that all have less than 1 million users, you're not going to pay parse 1 penny. Parse analytics, completely free. We don't limit you on the number of data points at all. So we're very excited about this new pricing, and we hope that you guys find it pretty compelling as well. So I talked earlier about analytics. Like I said, you can now track any custom app event that you define. But feedback that we got from a lot of game developers is that they wanted to see more about growth and retention. That was something that was particularly important for game developers. So a few weeks ago at F8, we also announced growth analytics. Oops. I think it's just really faint and you can't see the line, which is unfortunate, but on my screen I see it. Here's the growth dashboard, and you can see daily active users, weekly active users, monthly active users, and how that number is increasing over time. And apologies, guys, for the quality of the screen here. Retention, hopefully you can see this a little bit better. What we're showing here is of my users that signed up 28 days ago, how many are still sticking around and still playing my game. In this case, I don't think you can see the number, but it's 15.8%. A pretty underwhelming number for this developer. Probably a little bummed about that. Well, fortunately, he can see that as you know, in the last 5 days, those numbers have actually increased. Perhaps I pushed a new version of my game, or published some new content, some new levels, or maybe I just sent a push notification to remind folks to be re-engaged with the app. So far, the response from developers has been overwhelmingly positive about the retention analytics. Lastly, let's talk about something that I think we're probably all familiar with. You've got your phone, maybe you're getting on a plane or a train, and all of a sudden you lose connectivity. Well, what happens? Your phone basically falls apart. It's horrible. We've all experienced this. It's really no fun at all. You're pretty much left with a calculator, an alarm clock, and maybe just a notepad so you can write down how pissed off you are about not having connection. It's horrible. So we wanted to announce Parse Local Data Store. This basically gives developers the ability to avoid a lot of these network connectivity issues and make sure that their users are deriving value and utility from the game, even when they lose connection. It's pretty technical, so I won't go into too many details, but please check it out at parse.com/docs if you're interested. And now I want to hand it back over to Richard to talk about grow and monetize. Thank you.
Thank you, Naku. So as I mentioned before, we're going to have another session tomorrow. Stephen Sean, my colleague, he's going to cover about how to grow utilizing Facebook to grow your business, your application. So I'm going to skip for the grow part. I'm going to jump into the monetize part. The third pillar is monetize. So audience network, we just announced a new service from Facebook, 30th of April, F8 in San Francisco. So we call it audience network. It's a very powerful tool, data to find out their audience, helping you guys to delivering the right person to your data, from third-party data, so we can match your audience very correctly. The accurate and measurable campaigns is the powerful, what is the power we have for the audience network. So the average online reach for the target campaign is accurate about 38, about 40. But audience network is over, bigger than 2 times than that. It's 89% of accurate we can deliver. This the major, the main thing we can deliver from the audience network to you. So for more information, this is only for beta as well. This is a beta stage still. So for more information, please visit fb.me Audience Network for more information. Thanks. So we already covered the build, a little bit about growth, and a little bit about monetize. So hope you guys enjoy the topic today, and you're gonna have another session tomorrow again. Thank you, everybody.